Just like Diddy, Epstein didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing.
The cameras switch on, and Candace Owens looks completely fed up. Not irritated, not mildly concerned. Fed up. Her voice is sharp from the very first sentence, like someone who has been holding something in for a long time and finally decided to let it all out. She says Hollywood is acting strange again, quiet again, nervous again. And according to her, every time the conversation around Jeffrey Epstein starts trending online, certain celebrities suddenly disappear from public view. Then she says the name nobody expected, Jim Carrey. The internet instantly exploded. Not because Jim Carrey had been charged with anything, not because new evidence appeared, not because police reports surfaced overnight. Candace makes that very clear from the beginning. There are no criminal charges connecting Jim Carrey to Epstein, no verified evidence proving illegal involvement.
The Epstein case has been officially closed, my friends. He actually didn't even have a client list that he used for blackmail.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out my little Men in Black tool, and just wipe your memory real quick. Phew. Phew. She didn't say any of that. Phew.
Sorry.
The FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Go
ahead.
Sean Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that.
But she says people are noticing patterns, timing, and behavior that feels strange to them. And in today's internet culture, strange is enough to start a wildfire. Candace tells viewers that Jim Carrey's recent disappearance from major media conversations has become impossible for people online to ignore. For years, he was everywhere. Award shows, interviews, political commentary, viral speeches, emotional conversations about Hollywood and fame. He constantly spoke about corruption, ego, and the dark side of celebrity culture. He presented himself almost like someone trying to wake people up. But now, according to Candace, when the biggest conversations about elite accountability are happening again, Jim Carrey suddenly feels absent. And that absence is exactly what has people talking. What makes the situation even more intense is the timing. The Epstein story never fully disappeared from public conversation. Every few months, old photos resurface, old flight logs trend again, or another celebrity connection gets dissected online.
She went out there and claimed there were tens of thousands of hours of tape. There are, by the way, but they are child pornography. The reason the FBI is not releasing them is because those tapes do not include underage people with third parties on Epstein Island. That is not what the tapes are. I also have sources in the federal government who are covering this stuff and have seen the documents. Those tapes are just child porn. That's all. That's what they are. That's why the FBI is not releasing them. As far as the Epstein list, what I have been told by my sources is that there is no Epstein list. That basically there's a black book of Jeffrey Epstein contacts. And the vast majority of those contacts are already out there publicly. That's why you know names like Prince Andrew or Alan Dershowitz or some of the names that have been mentioned here. Those contacts, there is no evidence, according to the DOJ and the FBI, and again, that's public, there's no evidence that any of those third parties were having girls trafficked to them. And that is not evidence that was made clear, certainly, to the DOJ or the FBI. There is Tucker then asserting that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, not a shock. Of course, this is where Tucker was going. This has become the hot speculation on the internet, is without evidence. You say that Mossad was running Jeffrey Epstein. When I say without evidence, I mean without evidence. Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, said, quote, As a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. And in fact, I followed up with the former Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, and what he told me is that Mossad has not been active in the United States against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of 1987, when a U.S. Army contractor who's actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government. He was prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison.
I didn't watch
for
this whole
almost
clip.
30
This is
years.
hilarious.
And so Israel since then has not spied on the United States with Mossad.
Okay, guys. Well, there you have it. It's just, I don't know how he does it with a straight face. I'm just like, well, anyway, guys, there's millions of emails, but don't even it's like, Mossad hasn't been doing nothing. I know it seems weird because BB's like always here or whatever, and we seem to be doing their bidding everywhere. But the Mossad just like said in 9 days, they were like, I'm a chill. And they haven't done a single thing here at all. I know it might look that way. Miriam Adel said, she doesn't even know their names. She doesn't know who they are, actually. She's doing her thing and she's giving Trump $200 million, but it ain't got nothing to do with the Mossad. So I just wanted to bring you that stunning report from Ben Shapiro. Thank you for clarifying, Benjamin.
What? 21 cars? What? They could have gave me a car.
Social media users have become obsessed with connecting dots. Some do it responsibly, others spiral into pure conspiracy territory. Candace says that whether people like it or not, Hollywood created this atmosphere themselves. For decades, powerful people protected each other behind closed doors. Public images mattered more than transparency. Smiles on red carpets mattered more than accountability. And now, audiences don't trust celebrity culture the way they used to. That shift changed everything. But to understand why Jim Carrey's name suddenly landed in this conversation, Candace says people have to look back at who he used to be in the public eye. For years, Jim Carrey was considered one of the most beloved actors in Hollywood. He wasn't just famous, he was untouchable. Audiences grew up watching him make people laugh in movies that became part of pop culture forever. He had this chaotic energy that made him impossible to ignore. One minute he was hilarious, the next minute emotional, then philosophical right after that.
Emails drop, and Jeffrey Epstein, who worked on behalf of the Rothschilds, according to him, wrote that in an email, the Rothschilds, who credit themselves with having created which nation state? Oh, right, Israel. Israel, the same nation state that is having a bunch of women say that they were ritualistically abused in a forest by rabbis. That's happening in the Knesset right now, that nation state, saying that they were 3, 4 years old when this happened. He's saying, those are my bosses, the Rothschilds. And here is a brief, but by no means an extensive coverage, video that was put together by, I assume this guy must be Goy, right? Goy? See, Goy, TikToker, contrarian, put this together. Take a listen.
Israel is mentioned twice as much as Donald Trump in the new documents. Here he is discussing with Roger Schenck, a Jewish-American academic and hedge fund worker, saying Jews create vast fortunes by manipulating markets and creating financial speculation and exploiting labor. He says, let the Goyim deal in the real world. In a discussion with the Rothschild family, Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government, there would be great opportunities. The Rothschild family paid Epstein $25 million for certain algorithms. While talking to Peggy Seigel, August 7th of 2010, she asks if an event is going to be 100% Jewish. He says no, they'll have Goyim in abundance. But don't worry, they're just brilliant wasps from JP Morgan. Joshua Finkelstein, BlackRock's Larry Finkelstein's son, is accused of not having any respect for non-Jews, seeing them as not human. This is from his ex-girlfriend, Svetlana. He pressures her to have an abortion. In 2017, Epstein has a conversation talking about if you want to hire the best people, you have to hire only Jews. Only hire those who can prove they are genetically Jewish. Maria Farmer, one of the first victims to come out and name Epstein.
I wasn't allowed to go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, it's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish. They're not going to serve you. They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else's.
Said that their operation was motivated by Jewish supremacy.
Anybody gonna say that that's not real anymore?
People loved him because he felt unpredictable, but underneath the comedy, there always seemed to be something heavier going on. Over the years, Jim started speaking more openly about depression, fame, loneliness, and the emptiness of Hollywood success. His interviews became deeper and sometimes uncomfortable. Some fans admired that honesty. Others thought he was unraveling in public. Candace says this is where things become complicated, because when someone spends years exposing Hollywood's fake culture, audiences begin seeing them differently. They stop viewing them as just an actor. They start viewing them as someone with insider knowledge, someone who has seen things the public hasn't. And once people place you in that category, every move gets analyzed differently. She reminds viewers about Jim Carrey's strange red carpet interview years ago, where he walked around talking about meaninglessness and saying none of the celebrity stuff mattered. At the time, many people thought it was funny or eccentric. Others thought it sounded like someone mentally exhausted by the industry.
How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, folks? It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles for some reason. I can't imagine why, right?
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
In this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not letting it go, ever. Ever.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
All of these people are in power now. All of these people could certainly release the quote-unquote list. Is it exactly a list? Is it a network of contacts? Is it video footage of people that committed crimes against children? We don't know. And we may never know, which is leading some people to ask the question, like, is Trump actually in the Epstein files? And personally, my take on that is no, but what is your opinion? Because I can't reconcile this Donald Trump with the Trump that we're seeing right now, the Trump that is gaslighting the public right now, the Trump that I voted for across multiple elections. The Epstein scandal is definitely terminal cancer to Trump's MAGA movement. There's no question about that. I actually said to my husband this week, and we were talking about it, that in order for Trump to get out of this is how bad it is, in order for him to actually make the MAGA base forget this, like potentially move on from Jeffrey Epstein, he would essentially have to come right out and repeal income tax in the United States. And then we would be extremely happy. Everyone would be very happy. And then we'd go, actually, thanks, Trump, but we still remember the Epstein scandal and we want the list. That's how bad it is. There's just no making anybody forget about this Epstein scandal.
Now, those clips are resurfacing again. That's the part Candace focuses on heavily. She says social media has completely changed the life cycle of celebrity scandals. Nothing disappears anymore. Interviews from 10 years ago suddenly become evidence in online debates. Old friendships get re-examined. Party photos get reposted. Even harmless interactions become suspicious once public trust collapses. And according to her, that's exactly what's happening now. What nobody expected was how quickly the internet turned Jim Carrey's recent public appearance into a full-blown viral discussion. Fans began posting side-by-side clips comparing him to older interviews. Some people said he looked exhausted, others said he seemed emotionally disconnected. Then the conspiracy theories started flooding in almost immediately. Candace pauses there because she knows how dangerous internet speculation can become. She repeats several times that looking different is not evidence of criminal behavior. Aging is normal, stress changes people, fame changes people, life changes people. But she argues that the real issue isn't appearance, it's silence. According to Candace, people become suspicious when outspoken celebrities suddenly go quiet during moments of intense public scrutiny, especially celebrities who previously positioned themselves as truth-tellers. She asks a question that instantly grabs attention. If Jim Carrey spent years criticizing Hollywood corruption, why does he seem so distant now that public conversations about elite networks are exploding again? That question alone sent social media into chaos. Some people defended Jim immediately. They argued he owes the public nothing. Others said he probably stepped away from Hollywood because the industry destroyed his mental health. Many fans pointed out he has openly discussed depression and personal struggles for years. But others weren't convinced. They argued that powerful celebrities often disappear strategically when public pressure intensifies. Candace says this is why phrases like "on the run" started trending online, not necessarily because someone is physically hiding, but because cultural retreat looks suspicious in the internet age. And once that narrative starts spreading, it becomes almost impossible to stop. Candace then widens the conversation beyond Jim Carrey himself. She says the Epstein scandal permanently damaged the public's trust in elite circles. Before Epstein, people were more willing to separate fame from accountability. Celebrities could maintain polished images for decades without serious public questioning. That era is over. Now, audiences question everybody. Actors, musicians, billionaires, politicians, media executives. Nobody gets automatic trust anymore. And honestly, Candace says Hollywood helped create that skepticism through years of secrecy and image management. She talks about how audiences once viewed celebrities almost like royalty. Fans defended them emotionally because they felt connected to them through movies, music, and television. But social media shattered that illusion. Suddenly, people could compare timelines, analyze interviews, and revisit old controversies within seconds. Digital memory changed everything. Candace points out that even celebrities with no proven criminal involvement still face intense public suspicion today simply because audiences no longer believe the entertainment industry is as innocent as it pretended to be. That's why Jim Carrey trending alongside Epstein conversations became such a massive story online. Not because evidence suddenly appeared, but because the cultural climate has changed so dramatically that people interpret silence differently now. And then Candace says something that really hits hard. She argues that fame itself has become a trap. For decades, celebrities built careers by controlling public perception. Publicists shaped narratives. Interviews were carefully managed. Bad press disappeared quickly. But in today's world, audiences don't trust polished images anymore. In fact, overly polished behavior sometimes makes people even more suspicious. That creates a dangerous situation for celebrities trying to protect their privacy. If they speak, people overanalyze every word. If they stay silent, people assume they're hiding something. Jim Carrey, according to Candace, became trapped in that exact situation. She says his long absence from mainstream Hollywood already created curiosity. Then, his rare appearances started fueling speculation because people projected their own fears and theories onto him. Suddenly, every facial expression became a discussion topic online. Candace also touches on something deeper happening psychologically with audiences. She says many people are emotionally struggling with the collapse of celebrity worship. For years, fans wanted to believe their favorite stars were different from ordinary powerful people, more honest, more authentic, more trustworthy. But scandal after scandal shattered that fantasy. Now, viewers don't know who to trust anymore, and that uncertainty creates paranoia. Candace warns that this can become dangerous because internet culture often jumps from suspicion to certainty without evidence. She says questioning elite systems is healthy. Blindly accusing people without proof is reckless. That distinction matters. She repeats again that Jim Carrey has not been charged with crimes connected to Epstein. There is no verified evidence proving criminal behavior, but she insists the public conversation itself reveals something bigger happening culturally. People no longer separate celebrity from scrutiny. That's the real story. And according to Candace, Hollywood still hasn't fully accepted that reality yet. What makes the situation even sadder is how much Jim Carrey's public image changed over the years. At one point, he represented joy for millions of people. His movies made audiences laugh through difficult times. Families watched him together. Kids copied his expressions. He felt larger than life. But now, online conversations about him feel darker, heavier, and suspicious. Candace says that transformation reflects a broader collapse of trust inside entertainment culture itself. The emotional weight of that shift is impossible to ignore, because whether people support Jim Carrey or criticize him, one thing is obvious: audiences see celebrities differently now. The magic is fading. The distance between public image and public suspicion keeps shrinking. And for stars who built careers on charisma and mystery, that new reality feels brutal. Candace says there's also a human side to all of this that people forget. Imagine spending decades becoming famous for making people happy, only to watch the internet suddenly analyze you like a criminal conspiracy board. Every old interview becomes evidence. Every awkward moment becomes suspicious. Every absence becomes a theory. That pressure would crush most people. At the same time, she understands why audiences became so skeptical. The Epstein scandal exposed how interconnected elite spaces really were. Wealth, politics, media, entertainment, all those worlds overlapped constantly behind closed doors. Once the public saw that overlap clearly, trust collapsed overnight. And trust is almost impossible to rebuild once it's broken. That's why Candace believes transparency matters more now than ever before. Silence creates a vacuum, and the internet always fills vacuums with speculation. Sometimes fairly, sometimes unfairly, but it happens every single time. What nobody expected was how emotional this conversation would become online. Some fans defended Jim Carrey passionately, saying people were destroying a man who already struggled publicly with depression and isolation. Others argued that celebrities should no longer receive automatic sympathy simply because they're famous. The divide became intense. And honestly, that divide says more about modern culture than it does about Jim Carrey himself. People are exhausted from hidden scandals, exhausted from carefully crafted celebrity images, exhausted from watching powerful people avoid accountability, while ordinary people face consequences every day. Candace says that emotional exhaustion is why even weak suspicions spread so quickly online now. Public trust has been damaged too deeply. By the end of her commentary, her tone becomes calmer, but somehow even heavier. She tells viewers to stay rational, stay fair. Don't let internet hysteria replace facts, but also don't ignore the lessons society already learned about elite systems and hidden networks. Both extremes are dangerous. She says pretending every celebrity is secretly guilty is paranoid, but pretending powerful circles never protected each other is equally naive. Then she delivers the line that leaves the room completely silent. Hollywood survived for decades by controlling image, but image without trust eventually collapses. And in today's world, audiences are no longer satisfied with polished smiles and carefully managed interviews. They want honesty, they want accountability, they want transparency. Whether Jim Carrey is simply stepping away from fame, protecting his mental health, or avoiding the spotlight for personal reasons, Candace says one thing is undeniable. The internet no longer sees celebrity silence the way it used to. Now, silence becomes part of the story itself. And once the public starts asking questions, the spotlight doesn't fade anymore. It only grows brighter.